Hi guys, welcome back to Flying Dutchman videos. This is another episode of my World in Conflict Soviet Assault videos. By now we are in the fourth mission of the campaign, which is another Soviet mission. They've expanded out of, as the little flavor text says, expanded out of Seattle and now establishing themselves in the countryside. And you think that, like, well, all the Americans have retreated, so this is going to be fairly easy, but the end of the mission is well, fairly harsh. So let's get started, and I'll walk you guys through it.
My love, I hope this letter finds you well. In my heart I feel I will know if something happens to you. It is so hard to face the day without you by my side.
My dearest Natasha, I am writing this sitting on a tractor, just like those we have on the kolkhozes back home. They are not so different from us, these Americans.
They have begun working triple shifts at the factory. I am glad that Inessa is not working nights. Many factories have been bombed, and I fear she...
Though I am a little worried about Kolya. He is very hard on the men, and when I tried to talk to him, he just shrugged it off. I will have to make it clear that he is under my command.
I think about all the boys over there whose mothers cannot sleep for worry. Those serving with you must be the lucky ones, Velocha, for I know that you care deeply for them.
I will be home soon enough. Until then, know that I love you. Your Vladimir.
In America itself, our valiant forces are making excellent progress. The front is expanded daily as city after city falls into our hands. Everywhere our troops are met by cheating citizens happy to be liberated from the yoke of their oppressive government. Already the American proletariat is joining us in spontaneous...
The initial landing went well, and within a few days we had Seattle secured and several regiments moving out into the surrounding countryside. It felt great to finally roam free after having spent weeks inside the cramped container ships. The Americans soon rallied their forces, though, and we began to encounter pockets of heavy resistance. After a pitched fight, they would melt back into the countryside, leaving us to count our dead and wounded. It didn't take long before the strain and frustration of being in a hostile country so far from home began to show on some of the men.
Ironically, this sounds exactly like the experience the Germans had in World War II. Defense in depth.
I agree, Captain.
I just fell back and baited the Soviets to follow, or baited the, in the Soviets' case, baited the Germans to follow them.
Sokol 1 to Romanov. Move ahead and scout out the area, and be wary of ambushes.
So the first part of the mission is basically to scout out the little village ahead, to which end we've given about 1/10 of the battle force here.
Sokol 1 out.
Malashenko to Sokol 1. I wish the Americans would have the guts to stand and fight us.
Don't hope for too much, Captain. We like the fire support for a decisive engagement.
Just to move quickly, the smartest idea is to just put your soldiers into the BMPs, because there's actually no enemies around here for the foreseeable time.
Malashenko out.
Drive into the destination. Armored transport heading out.
No sign of the enemy yet. I don't like this, Lieutenant. Take your group east and continue the reconnaissance. Sokol 1 out.
This is where it starts to get interesting, because around that farm there's actually some heavy vehicles that could put a dent into our little dinky IFVs here. it is likely that in pursuing the secondary objective, which is to destroy, I think, a couple of Abrams, you will lose one of your BMPs.
BMP-2, drive into the destination.
'Cause the Abrams stand up very well against the ATGMs.
They are close, I can feel it.
I believe you are right, Captain. But we must secure that bridge regardless. Romanov, your objective is to capture the bridge. Second company will move in to support you once you are in place. So call one to all units. Continue the advance toward the river, but hold in place on the north side until the bridge has been secured.
Understood, товарищ полковник. Малашенко out.
It's critical that you leave none of your units on the bridge itself, because that makes them very easy targets.
Товарищ командир. Yes, товарищ командир. Moving. Yes, товарищ командир. BMP-2, drive into the
Well done, Lieutenant. Hold off the enemy. I am sending first platoon across to support you.
Yeah, so call one. Neutralize the enemy so that we can start using the bridge.
APC here. Your orders. Launching missile now. Engage. Armor on the move.
They are engaging us.
Launch the missile now. Armored transport available. We've got a situation.
Soldier inside the building.
It's unavoidable to take some damage here, but if you present your front armor towards the advancing infantry, you shouldn't take too much. Well, that seems a bit excessive.
The bridge is secure. Well done, everyone. Move across by company. I want column formations.
Malashенko here. We have incoming
This
fire.
is going to be a graphical demonstration of why you didn't want to have your IFVs on the bridge, because that wouldn't have meant they'd been killed, and you'd been left with about half of your vehicle force, which is a bad thing in this mission.
Captain, second platoon says they're 10 minutes out. Bastards! Tell that mongrel Petrov I'll put a bullet in his head if he's not here in 5. Sokol, this is Shapovnik. My men are surrounded and need immediate reinforcement.
Shapovnik, I'm aware of the situation. Move your troops to the western fort and cross there. Romanov will create a diversion to the east.
Sokol, we don't have time for diversions and flanking maneuvers. I need a bridge there.
I say again, you are to flank to the west, Shapovnik.
So, seems the captain has his own ideas of how to deal with the enemy.
Second company to move west. We'll rendezvous at the fort. I hope the old fool knows what he's doing.
Romanov, make a supporting attack on the eastern fort while 2nd and 3rd Company flank around to the west. We must reinforce our stranded comrades on the other side of the river.
This is where it starts to get
Looks like the
interesting, because
Americans
there
finally
are,
making a stand.
in this
Count on
area,
heavy
are a
resistance.
couple of heavy
I'm
tanks I
giving
was
you light
talking
tank
about.
support.
So call in your repair stuff.
We also have reports of an enemy M1 Abrams tank in the area. This is the most lethal tank in the American arsenal. Destroy it if you get the opportunity.
It does suck that they drop on the other side of the river, but you can't really do anything about that.
APC here. What armor moving out? Want us to repair something? Acknowledged. We will move to the new area.
You need to move very carefully in this phase of the mission, precisely because of the Abrams.
APC will move now. Товарищ командир. Yes, товарищ командир. Moving. Armor transport. Yes, товарищ командир. Moving. Armor moving out. firing smoke grenades. Armored transport heading out. We can roll out anytime. Dorish commandeer. BMP-2 is available. Fire an 85 at that hostile 85 missile. Target confirmed. Take it out. Fire an 85 at that target.
Apparently it's a bit slow to respond. Which is good. Alright,
Not possible.
Tank is shooting at us.
Нет!
APC on the move.
Give us some support. Get going! We're under fire! They are engaging us! Ready to fire! Speed it up now!
They killed a unit.
What are your next orders? We're still locked in.
We're under fire!
Negative.
We should move it. We need a smoke screen now.
We're under fire! Give us some support
Unit
here!
That Abrams tank is posing a serious threat to our forces, Romanov. Destroy it if you can. Good. Each loss of those tanks is a serious blow to the Americans.
slightly more costly than I had expected, but
Wait, yes, товарищ командир, товарищ командир. We're moving out. Roll out.
I suppose you could actually, well, I just realized this, but we could have just moved our reinforcements up to support them, which is a kind of a stupid move on my side. Well, at any rate, calling some more reinforcements to replenish the losses you've
Where do you need us?
taken.
Малашенко на связи!
Yeah.
We're engaging the
Apparently
enemy at
it's
the
not-
western fort. My men on the other side are now completely surrounded.
So call one here. We will get to them.
Apparently
Captain.
you can't
Romanov
cross
should
that
draw
ford at
some of
all.
their forces away to the east soon.
He better. Malashенko out.
We're moving out now.
There's the
Just have
infantry
them
heading
stay
out.
there.
Recovery vehicle available. Our tracks are steady. Товарищ командир, where do you want light tank rolling out? Товарищ командир, where do you want us? Armor available for battle. BM move.
Товарищ командир, we're available. The transport is our lift.
Need a fast tank? Heading for the position.
So worth noting that formations will move at the speed of their slowest component. So
Everyone's inside.
Our tracks are steady.
if you have infantry in a vehicle formation,
We can roll out any
the vehicle formation obviously will move at the speed of the that infantry squad, which kind of sucks if you want to get somewhere fast.
We are ready, товарищ командир. The 84 is
Говорит Малашенко. My men are hard beset by the enemy. I thought Romanov would draw them off.
Romanov is attacking the eastern ford as planned. A breakthrough on either side will force the Americans to retreat.
Understood, but it's not enough. I request a bridge layer.
Request denied, Captain. Again, sending in a bridge layer now would only ensure its destruction.
But we have to get across the river.
And we will do so at the fords. So-called one, out.
Rifles moving in. Go! They're taking hits! Run quickly now! Set up that machine gun!
Give us some orders. Hostile engaged. Hostile engaged. Lock and fire. Recovery vehicle. Our track starting repairs.
Make
now.
sure you
Товарищ
micro
командир,
your
enter
repair
the
tank to
vehicle.
keep repairing your
Left
armor.
member embarked.
Actually, the units on this side of the river should stay here for the time being, because that farm you'll come across later, and there's a couple of fairly heavy enemies in there. So
Yes,
if you want those units to stay alive, I suggest you keep them in that field.
Товарищ командир, destination received. We're moving up. Roll out.
Problem here is that there is anti-tank
Infantry ready for
formation
com. Get inside the building.
over there, which is problematic considering pretty much all of our units are armor.
Hostile engaged. We're engaged. Where can we? Armor rolling. Armor moving out.
Here.
They are attacking us. Armor available for battle. APC is returning fire. Returning fire. Товарищ командир. Yes, товарищ командир. Moving. We're repairing the target. Light tank need instructions. Launching 84 at the hostile.
Orders? target in that building.
Repairing our comrade. Light armor available. We got the target. Want us to repair
Enemy
something?
neutralized.
Tоварищ командир.
So have your infantry, depending on how many squads you have,
Acknowledged. Moving out.
set up in the farm area,
The building will
and
be
take
out.
out that anti-tank formation. And after that's taken out, you can have your armored units destroy the pockets of infantry that are holed up here.
Recovery vehicle.
And importantly, in order for you to take the checkpoint, they have to take out the machine gun formations.
Recovery
Where
vehicles.
do you need? Get into the position.
Firing at the enemy.
Where do you get your rifles and move? We are on the move.
We've got a situation here. Launch the missile now!
We're under fire.
APC here. Your orders. Tоварищ командир. We're with you. They are attacking us. The 84 is locked on that hostile engaged.
Hostile destroyed.
Give us some more hostile engaged. Armor here. Starting repairs now.
AK is ready to fire.
Armored transporter going to the destination. Tоварищ командир. Repairing our comrade. Get that perimeter. Heading for the position. Armor on the move.
We have control of the eastern fort. Get some fortifications up, Romanov.
Yes, товарищ командир. Moving. Товарищ командир. We're moving to the perimeter. Our tracks are steady.
Your command, товарищ, head for the perimeter.
Want us to heading for the position. We're repairing the target.
Soldat neutralized.
PT-76 on fire. Watch out! Missile locked. Fire! Use orders.
They are engaging
Fire
us.
the missile. Light armor ready for gun. Launching 84 at the target.
Make sure you make heavy use of your ATGMs in this instance, because you are continually outnumbered.
What are your next orders? Launching 84 at the hostile.
So in order to not lose too much of your units, you have to make use of every force multiplier you have, which is hard because they keep coming at you.
Armor on the move. PT-76 available. Launching 84 at the target. What are your next orders? Target acquired. Attack quick. We've got a situation here. Missile locked. Fire!
Hostile target killed.
Armored transport available. Fire the missile immediately. We've got a situation here. Light tank need instructions. Hostile engaged. Armor under attack. Where can we
killed an
assist?
enemy.
What should we do? We can roll out anytime. Launching 84 at the target. Fixing vehicle.
Excellent, Lieutenant. I am sending further reinforcements to you. Captain Maloshenko, what is your situation?
We've broken through the enemy lines. The Americans are pulling back.
Understood. Link up with your men and set up a perimeter.
At this point, you should change your drop zone and call in some reinforcement. Reinforcements.
I want you to move
You
south
also
and
need
clear
some
the enemy
infantry.
forces from the large farm ahead.
For dug in position, so make sure you don't only call in armored units, which is what I just did.
Recovery vehicle available. Yes, товарищ командир. Moving.
Rifles are clean and the transporters are lit.
Tоварищ командир, where do you want us in it repairing our comrade?
Last member embarked.
We can repair anything. Armor moving out.
Where do you need us?
We can roll out anytime. Acknowledged. We will move to the new area. Armor here, товарищ командир. Товарищ командир, we're with you. Recovery vehicle rolling out.
Actually, it doesn't matter if you move slowly in this part of the map, because there's a lot of enemy armor over there.
Want us heading for
Make sure your repair tank stays in the back.
armored transport is ready to go. Hostile vehicle is launch the missile now. We should
They are
move the
engaging us.
BMP-2. armor ready for combat. Hostile launching 84 at the hostile. Attack! The British commandeer, hostile, locked and engaged. The British commandeer, neutralize the enemy. Recovery vehicle available for repairs. Armor moving out.
Actually have them form a battle line if you get about halfway.
Light tank need instructions.
That way you can maximize the amount of firepower that can reach the enemy.
Armored transport available. Target eliminated. Fire the missile. Your orders. Launch the smoke now. We should move the BMP-2. We've got a situation. Launch the smoke. Do you need repairs now? What should we do? Your orders. Launch the smoke. Light armor ready for combat.
Smoke actually
Armor available for battle.
prevents the enemy units, the enemy light to medium armor from seeing you, so you can actually just sit there and take pot shots at their armor with your ATGMs.
I am talking to our esteemed comrades in the Air Force, and they will soon give us
I would have liked it to like actually have a fire while moving order, because that would make advances a lot more easy to plan out, instead of just having to micromanage firing a missile and having them like move up with their formation again every time, which is kind of annoying.
Armor on the move. Armor rolling. Light tank need instructions. We can roll out this. We're moving out now. We are heading for the coordinates. British commandeer heading for the position. Recovery armor going out. British commandeer. Smoke discharged. Launch the 85 missile. Armored transport is ready to go. British commandeer heading for the position.
They're under fire!
BT-76 available. Missile launched. Fire! Do you need repairs?
This is so-called one. We have a large concentration of enemy units at the
As soon as he says that,
we have finally been
pull
given
your stuff
priority
back,
air support, and I am
because
calling
they're
in
gonna
right
bomb the
now.
shit out of that farm.
Repair vehicle.
So-called one to Romanov. Frontal aviation will deal with the Americans. Make sure you are clear of the target area.
Firing. Do you need repairs now? Starting repairs now. Armor, we're moving out now. We're going to speed to the destination.
That's what I was talking about.
Killed some soldati. Let us we go air armor is moving out. We're moving out now.
The squad is assembled. Maloshenko to Sokol 1. What do we do about that bridge?
Romanov will secure the bridge.
And now
and
you
then
can
we'll
actually bring
repair
in
the
your
bridge. You must
IFV.
protect the southwestern flank.
Nothing will be allowed through. Maloshenko out.
Sokol 1 to Romanov. Move to the bridge at once and dig in. The Americans will be back
It's
soon.
in your best
and in
interest to do
greater
this as
numbers.
quickly as possible, because the timer will run down.
Rifles are clean and infantry heading out.
British commandeer heading for the position. Need a fast tank. Armor moving out.
Infantry, good.
Set up some sandbag positions if you can. You don't have much time. Sokol 1 out.
Infantry ready for combat. Consider the perimeter taken.
Armor available for back. Armor moving out. British commandeer. Get that perimeter. Armor here. The British commandeer. Our tracks are steady. We can roll out anytime. We're moving to the perimeter.
Infantry ready for combat. Getting to the position.
Light armor. Armor moving out. We can roll out anytime. Yes, the British commandeer. Moving. Armor heading for the position.
This is Sokol 1. The bridge has been repaired. You are free to move your units across.
We are ready. Our tracks are steady.
Yeah, repaired bridge doesn't really help me if I can't really call in anything, dude.
Romanov, fill your sandbags faster. The Americans are closing in.
As soon as one of them completes, move the units over to a little zone that needs some help, so that you can actually fill in as quickly as possible. I don't even know if it's possible to do it all within the timer, but
Position cavalry vehicle. Yes, the British commandeer. Moving. Understood. Heading for the position. Armor available for battle.
The main force is not far out now, Lieutenant. Good. A multi-layered defense is always the best option against a concentrated attack.
British commandeer. We're moving to the perimeter. We can roll out anytime. Cavalry, we're repairing the targets. Tоварищ командир, armor moving out. Armor here. Tоварищ, our tracks are steady. Tоварищ командир, BMP-2 is available.
A machine gun is ready.
Tоварищ командир,
So if you do this, you're actually ready for when the enemy comes.
want us to repair something? We're moving out now. Tоварищ командир, we're with you, heading for the
Where do
position.
you need us? We're moving out. Infantry, good to go.
Make sure you put your infantry in cover in the woods, because they're not going to last long out in the open.
Voloshenko here. We're engaging an enemy force estimated battalion strength. And I see another group moving toward the bridge.
Sweet, an entire battalion against my
So-called one out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9-ish units.
Where can we assist? Moving to the armor on the move. Wreck the vehicle. We're gonna see armor on the move. APC here. What can we do for you? Give us some orders. We need a smoke screen. APC here. Your orders. Launch the missile now. Give us some orders. Missile locked. Fire 15 instructions. Launching 84. Missile locked. Fire. Armor transport is ready to go. Launching 85 missile. Armor transport available.
And this is really just,
Army command
it's
has
not really
finally
much
defeated
advice
troops
I can
to
give you
fire
on this. Just
support.
make sure you keep repairing your vehicles and hope you can hold out as long as possible until they start calling in air support for you.
Tоварищ Voloshenko, the Americans are attacking in strength. We're
It does help when you have all your bunkers up, so make sure you follow the advice I gave you just now, and keep moving your units around to the various construction zones so you can have those up as quickly as possible.
Voloshenko out.
Also keep calling in smoke, because that will help conceal your units and make them harder to hit for the attackers.
The American attack shows no sign of weakening. You must hold on to that bridge, Romanov.
We're actually doing fairly well so far.
Repairing our orders. Going to the destination.
Make sure you fire your ATGMs at opportune targets, so don't fire them at like very light armor or armor that's almost dead, or like light, very light stuff. Take out the most threatening targets.
The enemy attack has finally been spent. They're falling back. Don't give them any respite.
Now we must counterattack, which is probably even harder than defending, because they're pretty heavily present on that on that hill.
Americans are falling back. Advance and destroy them. So-called one out.
Товарищ командир, yes, товарищ командир. Heading for the position roll out in. Yes, товарищ командир. Moving.
The squad is assembled. We're on the move.
Armor available for battle. We're moving out now. We are ready, товарищ. Yes, товарищ командир. Moving.
As soon as you have the no, don't do that. As if you've taken out a couple of them, it should be easy enough to take these guys out. Make sure you get in there, because otherwise they're just gonna reinforce and you still can't capture, which is annoying, obviously.
Light armor available. Our
Very good, Romanov. Consolidate your position before advancing further. We cannot afford to lose the ground we've gained.
Equally disperse your units in the zones, because that obviously again allows you to capture it the quickest. Don't forget to keep calling in fire support. Make sure you don't nearly kill your own units with it though.
Well done, Lieutenant. Now press the attack.
Fire the missile! Armored transport available. Armor on the move.
Poroshenko to Sokol 1. We are now in position 4, dealing with light skirmish forces.
Understood. Hold in place. Sokol 1, out. Retake the ground you lost, Romanov, before it's too late.
Doris Commandeer. Reporting hostile casualties. Doris Commandeer. Attacks are rolling. PT-7 moving to the destination. Pointing out. Doris Commandeer. They are attacking us. APC here. What can we do? Pirate 85. Give us an order. Doris Commandeer. Light tank attacking the target. Watch our attacks are rolling. Orders. Firing orders. The barrage will reach. We should not engage the enemy. We've got a situation here. Attack that target. Missile light tank. Armor on the move. Armor rolling. Give us some orders. Hostile targeted. This is a hotkey. Targeting enemy tank. Our tracks are steady. Our tracks are steady. We're moving to the perimeter. Armor here. Doris coming here. Here's Doris coming here. Doris coming here. Right, mission accomplished. The enemy got hit. Now repairing our combat here. The provided strike area was empty.
Rifles are clean and ready.
Almost there, Romanov. Get some fortifications up.
This is Poroshenko. Request permission to pursue the enemy.
Yes, Captain. We must keep the perimeter intact. We have dealt the Americans a hard blow. It will have to be enough for today.
Rifle squad need order to destroy the enemy.
Again, it's likely you're gonna take some losses, so be prepared for that. Keep preparing your units.
Target defeated.
Launching 84. The smoke screen. We can roll on any time. Doris coming here. We launched our 85 missile. Disabled arrows.
These units here firing at your allies are actually kind of free fire support points if you take them out, so keep that in mind.
Doris coming here. We got the target. Hotkey here reporting hostile casualties. No hostiles hit. We had bad coordinates. Affirmative. Anti-tank strike is inbound. Out.
We have the field. The river crossing is secured, and now the rest of the battle group can move across. Excellent performance.
So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed and found my little walkthrough useful. And I hope to see you guys for the next video.